So I'm building an in-ear rack for my church. We wanted to go wired for saving a whole lot of bucks. So we figured we would use this as our headphone amplifier. Now we've got a Behringer XR18 as our mixer, so we can do 3 stereo headphone mixes, and that's fine for how small of a church we are. So my thought here, this is the cheapest headphone amp that I could find that was rack mountable and could take a separate input for every headphone channel. So we're only going to use the first 3 of these 8 outputs, but that's somehow still the cheapest way to do it, as far as I could find. So on the back here, headphone amp, oh, it's a little shiny. Headphone amp 1, direct input, so that's a TRS input, which gives us stereo. So now, how am I going to wire this all up so it can stay nice and clean in a rack case that nobody has to unplug and plug stuff? So here we are with a Y-split cable. This is made by Digiflex. This is the model number. And we would take our TRS, that goes into the headphone amp, and this comes from the mixer, left and right. The only problem is the mixer's got XLR outputs, not TRS or TS outputs. But this was the easiest way I could find to have this at one end and a factory molded Y. I really wanted a nice clean Y. I didn't want any messing around with heat shrink that I didn't have to be doing. So I'm going to take these ends off and replace them with low profile Switchcraft connectors, the model number of which is the AAA3FBLP. F is for female, and I have some male ones here too. That's for another part of the rack. But what I like about this over, say, the Nutric right angle ones, actually I'll go get those. So Nutric makes a right angle connector as well, but you can only do certain angles. So this tab here is the top. You can only go from this angle in something like 45-degree increments. You can go here, you can go here, you can go here, or you can go here or here. Those are your options. You can't go up with it. And that doesn't work for me in my situation because I need to go up. So the XR18, and I will show you this later, I don't have it with me right this moment, but the output XLRs are on the bottom row. There's 2 rows of inputs and 1 row of outputs. The outputs are upside down. So your pull tabs are on the bottom, which means with this design, you're going out into another output, or you're going up into your inputs. That's no good. I want to go down over my pull tab. And you can do that with this Switchcraft design. The one thing you can't do, you'd have to break off this little grounding thing, which I'm not going to bother to do. See, the ground shield gets in the way, but you can offset just slightly. You can have it like that. Now you're coming out at almost straight over it. Certainly not enough to be a problem. This conductor will pass through there, and we're laughing. So that's what we're going to do today. These are nice connectors, so I'm not just going to hack them off. I'm going to actually desolder them. Oh, don't tell me this is the lead-free stuff that goes hotter. Oh no, we're okay. There. Take that off. Take that off. Feed our new hat through. The only thing that concerns me here is there's not really anything in the way of strain relief. So we will have to not tug on this too hard. That goes there. Now was I supposed to have put this on first? I guess so. Lesson learned. Put the whole thing together. Sure is tight. Now the way we're going to wire this, pin 1 is always the shield. Pin 2 is going to be these combined. Pin 3 is going to have nothing on it. So like that. Now how easy is that to work with? because I want this dot over here. Something like that. On the right channel, the output should be down here, I believe. Yeah. So we're going to lose this because we don't short to the other side. Because if we did, we'd be summing a negative and a positive and we get nothing. So let's make our right channel. Feed the whole guy through. That's the one tricky thing, is it wants to fall in. Not a problem when it's all tight, because see those little grooves in there? Those push up against the grooves here. And they push it back so that you don't get it crushing your cable. But you don't get that help when you're putting it together. So it just needs to go together like that. Everything's bent the other way by default from what I want. Ta-da! Stable connection because our intermittent lights don't come on. And we'll just mark it with a little bit of red tape. Not pretty, but you know which one's what. So that's my little test out of the Switchcraft AAA3FBLP Low Profile XLR jacks. I'll test them out on the rack, and that'll be the next part of this video. Ran into a snag when I was trying to make the male side of things, because for the male side I was trying to use regular microphone cable, which is probably about 6mm OD. Yeah, 6mm we'll say. And bonk, it doesn't go in. So I think I've come up with a solution for that, and that is put heat shrink on there. And I'm just going to strip back as far as I need to get this through here and enough space to work on it. When I put it back together, I have to pull it back through, and we'll have exposed shield and conductors. And then I'll push the heat shrink back up till we hit the hole. Then I can stuff it in there and heat and shrink it from there. So we're going to give that a shot. Probably need more than normal, because I got to go through there. Let's take it about here. Or, yeah, here. Oh. I want to get through the hole before I start really untwisting and making a mess. I think that'll work. I find scissors work better on this string than side cutters. That's a little long, I don't like that. I don't recommend that process if you can avoid it. Well, that sure was something. Now, to do the other end, although that will be easier because it's just a proper new trick, and we'll see if it worked out okay. Well, it looks like it does work. There's no cross connection from jiggling around, so I'm okay with it. But I would recommend getting a proper sized cable. Well, it is a little easier to pull through if you do it right at the start. That wasn't a pain at all. This part is, though. But I think now that I'm aimed over the bump, I can just keep pushing and twisting. Well, I'm right up to the edge. That's all the slack I gave myself. Fun times. Suppose I owe you a view of the final product. So we've got all these cables coming out of here, and they go into our aux outputs. And then we've got these two male ones that go into the inputs coming from these two receivers here. So this pair goes to channel 1, this pair goes to channel 2, and this pair goes to channel 3 on the Behringer HA8000v2. And if we look at it from a side profile, you can see these are low profile, lower profile than even the handles here. So that fits perfectly when you put the cover on properly. So that's a bunch of stuff that we'll never have to worry about. And what happens from here is we're going to plug headphone extension cables, which I have yet to make. I'm still waiting on some parts. Once those parts come in, I'll make another video about that.